earlier, and the dog started acting up. So the same amount of energy is still there. So I guess it's not too bad. But hello, and good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Not in that order, obviously, or maybe in that order. I don't know. I'm kind of yeah, I'm drained, and not because of the physical activity today. Finished the backyard for my mom, and you know, trimmed up the bushes. The storage is finally cleared out, and that's what's leading me to start this podcast right now. I went through some of the stuff pulled from storage, and it was one of my now passed on loved ones, family member. And let me tell you, man, when you're dealing with people's personal effects after they're gone, fuck, man, it hits you like the wave of feels just, it's overwhelming. And it just drained me of, I had plenty of energy, met up with my girlfriend, had lunch. I was coming back. I was like, cool, we got all this other shit done. I got all this shit done I needed to get done for my mom. Then I can go back and focus on my own thing. And then I come back and I start moving the crates and I open them. And there is my grandfather's personal effects: shoes, clothes, ties, suits, shirts, all that. I just donated it all to Goodwill because he was a person that would do that. He would donate his stuff to Goodwill. So I figured he wouldn't be mad about me doing that. And it hit me. I was like, man, I didn't even keep a suit or some shoes just for us, personal memento. But it's like also holding on to the past. And holding on to that makes it hard to move forward. He's gone. It's been a year. Um, not saying it's light that he's gone, but it's aside from that. And then my girlfriend's her grandfather passed this year too, just like 3 months ago. The wave of feels just was again. It was daunting, man. It was a lot. You might notice a different change in quality. I'm using my home studio stuff. I don't want to carry all this on the road because it's not a lot, but it is quite a bit of equipment. But the quality is more. It's superb. I know it is. I invested in good quality stuff. Only thing is my workflow is a little bit disjointed, and I'm gonna get back to the family thing in a moment. But just letting you know if you notice a difference in fidelity here. So yeah, if it's not too cumbersome, then I'll keep doing this. But that means I got to carry my laptop. It was easy to use my iPhone because I can use LumaFusion either on my iPad or the iPhone itself, and just transpose everything into a post editor and add some of the titles and stuff on the go. But I don't know. I'll try this format. But like I said, it's a lot. It's a microphone, then the XLR cable, and then the recorder itself. Then you're talking about the laptop, its power source, the SD card, moving it back and forth. I mean, it's first world problem. It's not really a lot of work, but it does have a disjointed workflow, like I said earlier. But I want to get back to the main topic because this is probably gonna be like a life and death episode. Because in a few moments, at the time of recording this, I'm gonna go see my childhood friend William. He had a daughter recently, and I wouldn't say neglected, but I've really been too busy to just pop over and say, "Hey, how you doing? What's fatherhood like, and how you doing? How you holding up? You good?" So if he wants to jump on this podcast, then this might be a good time to bring all the equipment. So we'll see. I'll bring it with me. That way I can finish the recording and do the daily horoscope towards the end of the podcast, like how I've been doing. Oh man. Okay. The depression feels are coming now. I was trying to yawn it off, but I can't. But it's here. So let's get into it, and hopefully we can pull this episode back up to a higher plane. Yeah. So, like I said, just clearing out his personal effects. His clothes, it had a scent that I hadn't smelt in a while. I mean, for you weirdos out there that want to take it to another level, fine, but whatever. But you don't really notice that a person has a signature aroma, not just a musty smell or they smell good because they use a chemical shampoo. No, 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 no. They had a scent that was unique to them. And so now it's making me think, the science of smell, or since it is one of the five senses we humans have, and it was just weird. Like it was a familiar smell, and it just brought back a wave of memories and emotions. Man, give me a moment. I'm trying to collect myself here. Yeah, yeah. Just every day, this that was the goal of this GRD is to grow and research daily, but don't forget to give and receive daily. Don't take for granted, the people next to you. They might not make it home tonight. And if they do, seriously, give them a hug. It's shouldn't have science shouldn't have to tell you this, but science does say, studies of it says, giving a hug it's therapeutic, not just for you, but for also the person receiving the hug. So, I'm gonna try that today. Um, give my friend a hug. Part of me feels a little uncomfortable giving another man a hug, but that's just a personal issue, I guess. But yeah, you never know. It's like now he's a father. Um, I know there's probably fears and thoughts that ramble on in his head that he probably wants to make sure he achieves before he leaves this rock. And I don't have any children, at least not that I know of. But it's yeah, man. Just I'm gonna try to keep this segment light, so I'm moving to the science of smell segment. Um, after this, so Pop, we both miss you, man. My mom, me, I'm damn sure know that your biological kids really miss you, and the people that you affected, they miss you as well. I'm sure. So on that bombshell there, I don't know how I'm gonna do the next segment of the science of smell because, like I said, it just came up when I got a whiff of all the old clothes that and suits that we had put away in storage containers. And those storage containers, just a shout out to them. I don't even know the name of them, but if you guys were in the aroma business, you got the right material to capture in scents. Let me tell you. Well, actually, I just did. I mean, damn. I mean, those things were locked in storage, a dusty storage, mind you. And no, there was no dust in them, but for at least a year before we were able to, move on and start, I was able to start clearing it out because that shit's rough, man. You moving people's shit out and they're not there. It's like, do you keep it for memento? Do you don't? Do you throw it away just to keep moving on? It's like, does it feel like it's disrespectful? Anyways, that company that made those tubs, because they kind of look like Legos too. They stack. Y'all got some damn good plastic, and I'm gonna leave it at that. So, if I do the science of smell, I'll probably do it with Will if he decides to come onto this podcast. But if not, then I'll probably do it on my way back and do some research while I'm over there. So, picking up right where I left off from earlier, um, he didn't want to do podcasts, so that's fine. Whatever. I'm supposed to be keeping this more of a personal thing anyway, and it's a challenge to myself as well. Anyways, let me plug these headphones in, make sure the signal's decent. Mic check, mic check. Okay, there we go. Coming in good. Good, 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 good. Right. So, we're talking about the sense of smell. How it's one of the five senses. How even humans have a unique scent, have a signature odor. It's fascinating when the ones that we love and the ones we're around, that we don't pay attention to it. At least not consciously. Excuse me, I'm using the mic, and if I go like this, I can tell that my voice disappears from the microphone. So with that being said, the sense of smell, I think I'll save that for tomorrow's podcast. I just want to finish off today with some light conversation rather than go into a research debacle. And of course, I must do the horoscope today and see if it lines up with what has transpired today. Making changes is difficult. I know this concept is not new. It's not lost amongst people who are actual adults and like myself who make changes when need be. But we're talking about not temporal changes, permanent changes. The changes that we have really, I can't even say little to no say so. We have no say so over them. It is just a part of the natural cycle. As I was hanging out with my childhood schoolmate, it dawned on me a few things. And one of them I will share with you is that permanent change occurs whether people actively want to tell you, that way you know of it, versus them passively telling you with their body language. His newborn is very, very gorgeous. It's nice to see it. You don't see, at least I can say this, little humans like that often. I'm not gonna say I forget, but I do consciously forget that's where we all start off. It's just lately I've been on the viewing it on the other side, the end result. We go about our lives, get into a routine, and even people say you can get stuck doing a routine, but actually, I think it's more difficult to keep a routine when you are aware of so much and you're stimulated by so much in the world. To actually have something that is routine, that gives you that sense of need, the sense of worth. You can value it because it's routine. You know, if you don't do that thing that it is, it feels like you're being devalued. Now, I'm not saying everything should be valued. There are some things where it's just objectively not considered valuable. But let's say if you, well, I'll use myself as an example rather. You find yourself stuck because you want to help people and you love the people who you wish to help, but then you sacrifice the self in order to do that. Me seeing my friend have his first child, and he is the first friend of that I can call a friend from childhood years where we grew up and around and almost, around and in the same element. It's nice to see that that's a possibility. I still don't want kids right now. That much is certain. I really don't. But it was nice to see that. And to him knowing that it's an 18-year commitment, I'm sure he's going to be fine. To know that someone who does that and they're not your blood. I'm speaking about my grandfather again because I want to pay my respects to him and his wife. I'm going to visit his wife on the 9th. It's her birth anniversary or her death day in June. But it was a reminder that when those real things happen, those real changes, the permanent ones, the ones that are not even more or less, again, out of our control, it's nice to see that some people don't crumble and they take up the challenge and wear it as a badge of honor. That's what he did. I'm still on the freeway, microphone in hand, so I can't look at the horoscope just yet. But while I am still traversing, I'll just expound more upon things observed today. Not being somewhere or not being the person that people seem you ought to be or think you ought to be, and then making a change to end up being that person that they needed you to be. I don't know if that's a sacrifice or more so a blessing. To be able to meet someone's needs, to still have your self-worth, your dignity, your character intact, and still being able to serve people. I don't think that's a sacrifice. Perhaps it's me getting older, wiser. But I'm starting not to see it as a sacrifice. It's an honor. Now, I'm not saying you can't be autonomous. No, not at all. No. I'm all for autonomy. Although some might say this is hypocritical, but I'm all for autonomy. But it's the fact that your presence, your impact, your persona is able to help someone. That is a heavy weight to hold. To know that we can use the term sacrifice in this instance of self is not for a greater good, but for a great good of someone. Money is important for Scorpios. It really is. It's a tool until we check off this rock. But that feeling, and if you've experienced this, you know the feeling I'm talking about. It's remarkable. It's priceless. That intangible feeling. Sorry for breathing so hard to the mic. I left the windscreen. That intangible feeling. That intangible currency. Yes, currency is the correct word for that. That intangible currency. Oh, man. It's... You know. If you've truly felt it, you know. And I'm starting to think at the end of both my grandfather's life, my grandmother's life, my girlfriend's grandfather's life, they too felt this. Although I don't find myself being very religious these days. I've said this before, I do believe. But I do recall a lot of what brought honor and respect to my grandmother, because her name was hallowed through church and places of employment and friends in the neighborhood and neighbors, and the same can be easily said for my grandfather. And I hope I am able to take some of that wisdom, even if it's just a tenth of it, and be able to really use reciprocity like the last astrological reading said. Then that is worth its weight in gold for sure. This recording sessions, they're becoming more and more therapeutic, and I am starting to truly change. And I think it'll be for the better. And although we Scorpios and people of like-minded ilk like me try to look ahead deep time, and by deep time I mean deep human time, not deep geological time, but just deep time, we can't possibly predict any type of outcome. Only accept the gifts of what is called the present. And I'm pretty sure you've heard this before. That's the reason why it's called the present, because each day is a present. Now, for my hardcore nihilists out there, you're probably going to be like, bro, really? Yes, really. Your yesterday is your past. Your present can aid in your future, but your future is still unknown. And if you are a religious believer and you believe that everything's already written in the divine order, then even to you it is still unknown. For if it is written, you know not the next page in the book of your life. You know not the next chapter, the next sentence, the next anything. You merely have this gift of the present. And that's the GRD of today, the growth and research and development that I personally sought out, that I experienced, that I am sharing now with you. And although using all this equipment is kind of clunky to get some high fidelity audio, I may just keep it this way. Unless, obviously, I can't get access to it because I either left it at my home or left it in a different vehicle. I'll be using the Rode microphone because it isn't that bad. But I know supercardioids are like the business. So, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the horoscope. I'm going to pull over and pull up the horoscope. And we're going to see what it says. There might be a little bit of dead air. Just bear with me, okay? Today's daily horoscope. Being popular is nice, but it's not so nice when folks start to get greedy about spending time with you. Avoiding them is only going to work for so long. So today you need to find a way to let them know that you can't give them everything they want. The situation might call for a white lie or two, but do not lead anyone on. If you sugarcoat things too much, you'll be making more trouble for yourself in the long run. Hmm. Don't know if that one really applies to me today. I kind of avoided my mom because I was working, but also kind of avoided my girlfriend. But what does it mean by avoid? Like literally turning off the phone, or does it mean that you were just working? Hmm. Something to divulge on. Let's go to finance. Your day is good. Oh, excuse me. Your day is so good, it's almost like a fantasy come true. You don't even need something ridiculous like winning a lottery ticket or news of a huge inheritance. As it stands, it is one of those priceless days that only comes around but once or twice in a lifetime. Enjoy. I got to say this one's a bit off today. I'm not really feeling it either one. But I knew this was bound to happen eventually. That it was going to become a hit or miss. And today is a miss because the growth I feel is more accordance to yesterday's message. This is Argos Rowe, your curator and host of House Scorpio. Remember, grow, research, and develop. Peace.